Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into the career, the methodology, and honestly, the absolutely fascinating mind of Steve Bennett. We're looking at a totally unique, strategic problem solver. We're talking about someone who doesn't just survive in complex environments, but actually thrives in them. We live in a world where regulatory rules are constantly clashing with real-world business operations, right? And most people, well, they just try to manage that friction. But as we're going to see today, Bennett's approach is entirely different. He literally engineers solutions right at that point of impact.
Now, organizational innovation might sound like a corporate buzzword, but for him, it's a very specific diagnostic lens. It basically means finding the exact gap between how a system currently runs and how it actually should run, and then relentlessly building the bridge that closes it. Whether he's dealing with a massive federal agency or a local community board, this is his foundational operating system. He is constantly hunting for that operational gap.
Section 1. The Operational Architecture Gap. Navigating the Intersection.
So here's the crucial point. His expertise lies precisely where dense regulatory rules collide with real-world operational systems. And let's be real, this is an incredibly messy intersection. Think about it for a second. Regulators speak the language of compliance, risk, and law. Operations teams, they speak the language of efficiency, execution, and scale. Usually, these two sides completely talk past each other, which creates massive inefficiencies. Bennett sits right in the middle of that collision. He translates the regulatory demands into structural reality, ensuring the operational architecture doesn't just survive the regulation, but flawlessly integrates it.
Moving on to Section 2, Navigating State and Federal, from micro-nuance to macro-strategy.
You know, it's one thing to shape high-level federal architecture, but it's a whole different ballgame to master state-by-state nuance. At the Federal Reserve Board of Governors, Bennett actually led strategic workforce planning and data governance for a highly scrutinized institution. But then he pairs that macro-level federal strategy with granular, on-the-ground local execution. We're talking about handling Zurich state insurance filings and even serving as a presiding election judge just to understand exactly how a single state's highly specific code is administered in real time. It's an incredibly rare dual fluency.
And this brilliantly illustrates his foresight. While supporting governmental affairs at Zurich, the company faced a major unknown, pending congressional decisions on terrorism risk requirements. Now, most organizations would just wait for Congress to act, right? Not Bennett. He anticipated a regulatory fork in the road and built contingent operational capabilities for both potential outcomes, ready to deploy before the regulation even resolved. That is the fundamental difference between simply reacting to a regulatory environment and proactively engineering your way through it.
Next up, Section 3. Building Public Trust, Governance and Social Impact.
He's got this incredibly consistent record of fending off political pressures to deliver concrete, multi-jurisdictional governance wins across public and nonprofit sectors. As a park board officer, he didn't just design a trails plan, he successfully brokered a complex, multi-jurisdictional plan into the city's master plan, all while navigating and deflecting political attacks from within the city council. As a mayoral appointee to the Public Works Commission, he tackled severe municipal financial constraints by totally restructuring utility rates and crafting a massive public debt refinancing strategy. And on the board of the Ascend Collective, he's actively building career pathways for veterans and military spouses, working hand-in-hand with DoD SkillBridge and the Department of Labor. He absolutely knows how to move the needle in the public sector just as effectively as the private.
But it's not all just institutional architecture, right? It's deeply human, too. He's currently founding an early-stage program under the working name Second Season. This initiative is designed to support folks going through massive identity-altering life transitions, things like retirement, the loss of a spouse, divorce, an empty nest, or even the sale of a business. This puts him in direct proximity to the lived experiences of the senior care industry's core population. He truly understands the profound identity transitions that retirement and widowhood represent for the very people senior care organizations ultimately serve.
He actually codifies these complex, chaotic human transitions into a clear, actionable four-phase framework: remember, release, refresh, and restore. It's a really fascinating look at how his brain works. Even when he's dealing with the raw, chaotic emotions of profound personal loss or transition, he finds a way to build a supportive, structured framework that guides a person from a state of complete disruption back to a state of equilibrium. He brings operational clarity to the human experience.
Let's pivot to Section 4, Legal Strategy and Rigor, Mastering the Patchwork.
Over 800 documents. Seriously? In a massive, multi-year, incredibly high-stakes Delaware Court of Chancery dispute, he organized an evidentiary record of over 800 documents entirely from scratch. He didn't just review them. He built the entire document and evidence management infrastructure from the ground up to support the overall case strategy.
This really just shows a profound ability to build evidence management infrastructure and translate highly technical financial standards into winning legal motions. He constructed disciplined argument strategies that essentially solved the opposing side's likely defenses before the judge even heard them. Beyond that, he's built true fluency in the federal court system through pro se federal litigation, mastering administrative exhaustion requirements, procedural filing standards, and deep docket research using platforms like Court Listener and Pacer. He operates inside a legal patchwork with the absolute precision of a seasoned litigator.
And finally, Section 5, a high-leverage playbook, scalable architectural solutions.
$1.4 billion. That's a B. His ability to turn a regulatory patchwork into durable, codified outcomes is evidenced by a $1.4 billion result from a single redesigned architecture. When you actually close the gap between how a system runs and how it should, the financial and operational benefits are just staggering. He doesn't just offer advice, he delivers highly durable, quantifiable outcomes.
It really all boils down to this. You're not just getting an industry insider with a static list of contacts. Let's be honest, a Rolodex gets outdated. What you're acquiring is a strategic architect who thrives in complexity. You're getting someone with a demonstrated cross-industry ability to build resilient systems, exercise incredible foresight, and deploy strict argument discipline across public, private, nonprofit, and self-directed contexts.
So how does he actually want to engage with his next challenge? Well, he isn't looking to simply fill a conventional long-term seat in some corporate hierarchy. He's actively seeking high-leverage problems. His goal is to come in, stand up the foundational playbook, build the necessary systems and relationships, and then smartly calibrate his ongoing involvement to match what your operational reality actually requires moving forward. He is literally an accelerator for your organization's most complex challenges.
As we wrap up this explainer today, I want to leave you with a thought regarding the complex operational gap your own organization needs closed right now. Look at the messy intersections in your own business, where regulation, operations, and human experience collide. What high-leverage problem is costing you time, money, or public trust right now? Because as we've seen today, that is exactly where Steve Bennett does his best work. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive, and I highly encourage you to think about how this kind of operational architecture could completely transform your organization.